It doesn't matter how much money it makes. If you have to become someone else that you don't like to do it, you will not do it long and you will not do it well. If you've had so many disappointments in your business that you feel like a disappointment, it's because you are disconnected from what makes you dope. And in this video, we're going to have a heart to heart where I will bridge the gap between knowing your design and designing a successful business. Let's get into it. Welcome to Your Innate Advantage. I am Vanessa Harris, and let's talk about how we got in this predicament. How did you get in this situation where you are not feeling like you are proud of yourself, or you're not liking how you're showing up in your business, and it has caused you to be down on yourself? You may have gotten in this situation because the business that you started is one that might have been popular, might have been what everybody said was profitable, might have interested you, piqued your interest, and you were like, oh, let me try my hand at that. And then when you got into it, you realize that the business is requiring things of you that you don't naturally give. It's not your natural flow. And so it is not the grind that everybody talks about, like working hard. It is a grind to do because it forces you to show up differently than you do in any other area of your life. And I'm not talking about working hard. I'm talking about becoming a persona or having to become a character in your own life in order to do something that's a part of your life. Integrity is being the same in all spaces and places. And if you are able to be a certain way, really subconsciously, in all the other areas of your life, and then you get to your business and you're having to become, and you're having to perform, and you're having to portray something that is not authentically you, you're doing yourself and your customer a disservice, because you're doing work that you don't like. You're doing work that's not an extension of you. And then the people that you're serving are not really experiencing you at their best, and they know it. And what we do know in this day and time is that people have options. They don't have to buy anything from you and I. And so it behooves us to allow our business to be just another extension, another expression of who we are, so that when people are picking between two businesses that are essentially offering the same thing, what will make them pick yours over the woman that's next to you? What will it be about you and how you do what you do in your business, how they experience your products, experience your services, that say, you know what, I'm going to go with her every time because I get her and she gets me. That's what we want to uncover. What is it that makes you dope? Because that's what is your secret sauce that needs to be woven, or flowing rather, through your business, so that you're showing up as yourself and people are experiencing that and they're loving it because they like how you get down. Okay, so I guess we need to define what dope is, because dope can have a lot of meanings, but I am a New York City girl. I'm from the Bronx. And so that's probably where dope was first said. But certainly in the 80s, when I was a teenager, I was saying dope all the time, still say dope. And so it was just fitting for me to use that acronym here to explain what it is that makes you cool, right? Because we want to know, who are you anyway? Like, who are you that's different than somebody else that I should find intriguing? That's what makes you dope. What makes you cool, what makes you different, what makes you distinct. Because we do know, everybody has heard about how we all have different fingerprints. No two fingerprints are the same. In the same way, there is something about you, there's something about me that makes each of us dope. It might not be something outward like fashion, like a certain fashion sense. It may be something more internal, where somebody has to get to know you and they experience what you know. And they're like, you know what, that's pretty dope that you're like that. But we all have something, and it requires self-awareness to be aware of what that something is, so that we can utilize it in our business and use it as a draw for people to use our products, enjoy our services, and to serve people well, because we're showing up as ourselves and we're being authentic with them. Everybody loves that word authentic, but you have to be self-aware to be authentic. You can't be yourself if you don't know who you are. And although people think that they are self-aware, they're probably not. What we tend to be aware of is other people, especially in this day and time with social media. We spend a lot of time getting in other people's business and knowing what they're doing and what they're telling you what they like. And you know what somebody else likes, but do you know what you like in that to that detail? Do you know what you're like to that degree? Do you know your likes and dislikes, your capabilities, your perspectives, your natural tendencies that are really subconscious? And they affect the way that you see the world and the way people experience you? Are you aware of that so that you're making the most of that in your business and not undermining it by doing, getting yourself signed up to be doing work that you wouldn't do for anybody else, you don't like to do, it's a drag to do, but because it makes good money, you're doing it? That's going to get real old. It doesn't matter how much money it makes. If you have to become someone else that you don't like to do it, you will not do it long and you will not do it well. So we need to know what makes us dope. And as women, we need to have a broader definition of what makes us dope, because a lot of women think it's their face or their fashion that makes them dope. And so we're spending anywhere from $1,000 to $6,000 a year on beauty products because we think what makes us dope, what makes us cool, what makes us stand out is what we look like. And you and I have a lot more depth than that. And so we need to get deeper and find out what it is that people experience when they experience us. And how can we parlay that into our business so that our business is flavored, is colored, is infused with us, so that we're doing work that we enjoy and people are getting to know us and buying into the way we do things, right? Because right now, you know, they talk about the trust recession and all that stuff. People want to know, especially with AI, they want to know who they're dealing with. If they can get to know who you are as a person, and that who you are as a person is really flavoring your business, it's really the foundation of what you're building your business on. There's a certain way that you see the world, and there's a certain impact that you want to have that is informing how and why you're doing what you're doing. So we need to get over this self-awareness gap that we tend to have, where even if somebody asks you how you're doing, if your automatic is fine, that means you're probably disconnected from how you're actually feeling, or you don't want to let people know how you're doing. Either way, people are not getting to know you. Because if I'm asking you how you're doing and I can see on your face that you are not doing well and you sit there and you say you're fine, I'm already understanding that there's a certain issue that you are having with you. So that maybe if I ask you about something to do with me and how you're going to serve me, I don't know if I can trust your answer because you're not even honest with yourself. And the lack of self-awareness about something as simple as how you're doing is not intentional. It's not like somebody's trying to be deceptive. It really is that culturally, especially here in America, we are not ones for being reflective. We're not ones for being quiet with ourselves. We're not ones for really, generally, I'm saying generally, paying attention to how we're feeling, why we're feeling that way, what seems to be connected to that feeling, what triggered it, how often that happens, how we're going to deal with that going forward, what help or what resources do we need to think about it a different way. Like that takes a lot of mental gymnastics that we would rather just use scrolling and escaping things. And so it's no wonder why we don't have self-awareness in general, and then why we're not able to access it for the benefit of our business. I could and would suggest to you, I suggest to you what I've done for decades, which is journaling. Journaling is one of the easiest ways to pay attention to yourself. You can write in books like I do, you can use the notes app in your phone, but it's just as you have experiences, particularly if you recognize the feeling that you feel, like your whole constitution is disturbed after you had the experience, you should spend some time unpacking that. You should just practice being curious and asking yourself, okay, what happened? How do I feel about it? Do I think it was right? Do I think it was wrong? What would I have preferred? How will I address this going forward? How can I prevent this going forward? How do I need to grow? Because there's so many questions that you can ask, but you have to be curious about yourself and take the time. It doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be every day like I do. I do most days, but just take the time to think about what you're thinking about, think about what you're feeling about, thinking about experiences that you're having and what you can learn from them, what you can improve because of them. There's just so much that you can do just by practicing curiosity. And you know how to be curious because you're curious about other people. It's just turning the light on yourself and asking yourself the tough questions. And it will feel awkward at first, but you get used to it. And then it becomes fun when you realize you have a reservoir of knowledge about yourself, so that as things happen and people suggest things to you, even in your business, they suggest, oh, you should be doing this. And you're like, I'm not, that doesn't work for me. Because you already know that you're not that kind of person. And for you to kind of try to contort yourself to include that aspect into your business would just drive you crazy or stress you out. And so you're like, no, that's not going to be the way that I can do it. That's for somebody else. The only way you know that is because you have spent time getting to know yourself, so that you can process opportunities faster, even, or know what opportunity is for you to do within your business, or that you need to delegate to someone else in your business because they're better suited for that. Like all of these things, you know, when you know yourself. And when you see that what you know about yourself is dope. Because when we say dope, we're not talking about something that's whack, right? That's the opposite of dope. Something that's like, who wants that? Who would want to be like that? No. When I say what's dope about you, I'm saying what is attractive that you do, or what is attractive about you beyond being pretty. What is prolific about you? What do you do in abundance and with ease that you are known for, that people always comment about, people always experience about you, and they have experienced that about you your entire life? Like, what are those things? That's what makes you dope, and that's what you want to lean into. You know, when you think about even babies, I'm a pediatrician. I don't practice, haven't practiced for decades, but I am a pediatrician. And one thing you notice, and if you have the gift, you have the gift, is when you have a new patient come in and they are a baby, and how well they take to you, because you got to take them to examine them. And there are a few kids, few babies who kind of gave me the side eye and didn't want to come to me. And I understood it wasn't an issue of they didn't like me per se. It's that they didn't know me. And the way that child is wired, the way their constitution is, the way their temperament is, the way their natural tendency is, I need to observe you before I come to you. And so I knew I needed to go talk to her mother and smile talking to her mother or his mother. And I needed them to see that, because then they know, oh, my mom likes her. And so that when I go back to go and examine her, then she will come to me, because she's like, oh, okay, I've seen that you're cool people. But then it's probably because I'm me and I'm dope. But there are also other babies who, as soon as you put your hands out to take them and see if you can pick them up, they put their arms up and they're like, let's go. And they don't resist you. And I guarantee you that if you follow those types of people going forward into adulthood, you would find that the child that would easily come to me is still the child that will easily give somebody hugs. Is still the child that will easily walk up to a stranger and start conversation. They have shown you from the beginning that they are a very welcoming person, that they're open. They see people as an opportunity to experience something, and they're open to it. And then there are people like me who are more reserved and have always been more reserved. And so, no, you couldn't just pick them up right away. They had to observe you. And till this day, they need to observe you for a little bit, see what you're about, and see if they want to fool with you like that. And then once they've decided, then it's a go. But they do need that time. And so these are the things that are subconscious, these capabilities, these perspectives, these tendencies that have always been there. And in a group, everyone has a different blend of those. And that is what makes them unique. And that is the thing that needs to be tapped into in informing their business, because that is the way they flow in every area of life. And so they shouldn't have to be different in their business. So let's break down what dope means. Now, the D in dope is for design. And this is actually the most important part of the dope acronym because everything else depends on you discovering what your design is. And by design, I mean unapologetically that you are a designed person. You are not a bag of cells. You are not a mixed bag of DNA. You are designed. In the same way that you have the eye color you have, these capabilities, perspectives, tendencies that are unique to you are designed. You were made that way, I believe, by God, so that they are the guide for you as to how you are to function in the world, right? Everyone's here to be a blessing to everyone else, but we're not all the same. We encounter different aspects of people and we are blessed by the differences. If we could understand that, the world would be a better place. But anyway, we are blessed by the differences that we experience in people just as much as the similarities. And so your difference is intentional. It was designed. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. God calls you a masterpiece. If you're a masterpiece, that means you're a one of. There is no other one. And so it behooves you to know what it is about you that is really not run of the mill everywhere. Everybody is not doing things exactly the way you're doing it or seeing things from exactly the same perspective, right? So you want to know how you're designed because as the founder of your business, you are the foundation of your business. And so your business should reflect how you're designed. And that's something that I work with women on to really get a handle on how they're designed, so that they use that information in their business. So the D is for design, and then the O is for outcome. What do I mean by outcome? When you interact with people, what is the takeaway you want them to have? The takeaway meaning, what would you like them to attribute to you as how they have experienced you? How would you like them to have been impacted because they were around you? What is it that people get when they get you? And are you intentional about that? Because we like to be out here in these streets and just interacting with people, but not really thinking about what we're giving off and what they're coming away with, and if we've left them better after having been with them, or if they're for the worse for having been around us. That is something when you live as an intentional person, and we'll get back to why I'm saying intentional in a minute. That is what you care about. And you pay attention to, and you give thought to how I show up and how people are impacted by how I show up. So for me, when I'm around you, when you finish this video, I want you to feel empowered and equipped. I want you to believe that, you know what, I was feeling this way. I was feeling very much like a disappointment, that I have let myself down, that I have not really shown up the way I wanted to, that I'm not really operating in my business with excellence, or I'm not having the results that I wanted, and I'm the problem, to understanding, no, you're not the problem. It's that you don't understand the fullness of who you are and you're not maximizing who you are. That's the problem. And so you feel empowered, and then you're going to feel equipped because I'm walking through the DOPE acronym with you. And then there's a resource that I'm going to offer you later that you can find in the description box, which will get you on your way to self-awareness if that has been a blind spot for you. And so I'm not just giving you information. I also want you to be equipped to do something about what I'm saying that you can do. People, when they talk to me, they come away with that. And I want them to come away with that. That is actually part of my wiring, my temperament. That's the kind of impact I like to have. And I allow that to inform how I interact with people. Okay, so then the P is for perspective. That is the passion or the mindset or the message that you want people to come away with because you have had a particular experience that so marked your soul that you feel that it's something that people ought to know. Not your experience, but your takeaway. What life taught you in that experience, you feel is something that people ought to know. For me, it's what? Guess. Be intentional. Because I know what it's like to grow up in a home with a mother who was not intentional in her parenting with me. I, from jump, am intentional about observing people. Intention has always just been something that I've done. It's not even something that I think about. And so I notice that I do it. I've always noticed when other people don't do it. And I know the importance of it, whether you are a mom that I work with, that I'm trying to help you with your family dynamics and getting that untangled and making that healthier. I talk to you about your approach to motherhood and being intentional about it rather than reactive or dismissive, right? To be intentional, because as the mother, you are the core of your family. Everyone is looking to mama. Everyone thinks mama can solve all the problems. And while that is a burden at times, it's also the opportunity that we have to be the influencer in our homes. So anyway, I have a whole nother channel about that. The point of the matter is, intentional is something I'm always going to point you to, whether I'm talking to my children, whether I'm talking to a girlfriend. Now that I'm talking to you as a businesswoman, are you being intentional about knowing what makes you dope so that you are using that intentionally in your business? It's always about intention for me. So what is it for you? What is it that you are particularly passionate about because you have had a positive or negative experience that has really driven that point home, and it's your personal mission to drive the point home for other people if they talk to you for any length of time. So that's something you want to think about. The E is for expression. How are you most comfortable expressing yourself, expressing this perspective, right? Impacting people for a particular outcome. What is your mode of expression? Are you more of a writer? An author is someone who likes to get their message across in books. They don't need to be there when you're reading the book and to see how you're experiencing it. What do they want you to do? They want you to write a review. They wrote a book. They want you to write a review. They're good with that. Okay. But somebody who is a speaker and they like to be in rooms, big or small, speaking to a group, they want to see the expressions of the people that they're talking to. They need visual evidence, or they need you to talk back to them so that they know that you are understanding what they're saying in real time. They're talking to you. They want you to talk back to them. That's how they're comfortable. So is your business set up to reflect the way you're most comfortable expressing yourself? That's something you should think about, because here's what's important. When you think about, say, a Tabitha Brown or Oprah Winfrey, these women have built businesses that, in general, want to positively impact people's lives, right? Particularly women. They want women to come away with a sense of self that is more positive than maybe when they first sat down to hear Oprah's interview, or when they first went to Tabitha Brown's event or read her book. They want them to come away with a better sense of self, but they do it differently, right? Tabitha Brown is all about joy, gratitude, and you feeling loved. If nobody else let you know that they loved you that day, she wants her video, she wants her products, something to let you know that she has thought about you because she loves you. She's talking about that all the time. That's what she wants you to know. And she has the demeanor, the disposition, everything about her exudes that. She doesn't just do that for her business. That is how she is in life, and has been how she has been. It's just that in her business, she does more of the same, and it's profitable for her because she's not trying to be joyful. She is joyful. Even when she's talking about a painful situation, at some point in that video, she's going to smile, and she's going to encourage you that if you're going through a similar situation, smile and find the positive. Know that you're loved. Like, these are things that are so integral to her that they have to be a part of anything that she does. She's not going to do any kind of business that will not have a lot of color, that will not be bold, that will not be vibrant, that will not be a reflection of her or an extension of her as she is in all the other areas of her life, the business has to be an extension of her as well. Oprah, whole different vibe. She is more of a researcher. She wants to know the questions that she should ask this person to get the gems out of this person, that when we are observing her interview this person, we can get the benefit of those gems. And then she encourages us to apply them to our lives. Both of them want us to have better lives, but one is very exuberant, very joyful, very move the crowd, and one is very pensive and deep and one-on-one, right? It's different, but they're giving you what they are naturally. They are always like this. They're not trying to contort themselves into something else so that they won't be successful doing it. Oprah has been interviewing for decades because it is so easy for her. She's an inquisitive person. She likes research. She likes her own thoughts. So sitting down, doing the research, or having her team do the research and her prepping for the interview, she can do that all day because that is how she is wired. And what you need to figure out is how you're wired and what's dope about that, so that you can parlay that into your business for your benefit and your quality of life. So you're not out here stressing yourself out trying to do work that you don't love, and for the benefit of the people that you want to serve, so that they not only want to receive it from you because they like who you are, but they know they're getting the best from you, that you're not forcing yourself to do this. This is a flow. And they're benefiting from your flow and they're happy to pay for it. So if you need help with being more reflective, with being self-aware, if you're like, Vanessa, I don't journal, I don't care, I don't know that I want to journal. Okay, let's start with the questions that I have included, the link to the questions in the description box. Just do those. They're light, they're nothing deep, but they're multiple choice for a reason. One, because I don't want you to just sit there and be like, well, I don't know how I feel about this or what I think or what I would do in this scenario. I've offered options, and as you do the questions, you will notice a pattern, right? Because being self-aware is about noticing patterns about yourself. And that will be a start to you having that reservoir of information about yourself so that you can just be awake to who you are, so that you're showing up in the world very much aware of what you have to offer and happy to offer it. And until next time, remember this. We love a framework. We like to go around and ask other people for their insights and what we should be doing different in our business. And we try to adopt it and we try to use it in our business and make it work. Here's the thing. You probably don't need another framework. What you need is clarity on how your frame works. And knowing what makes you dope is a big part of that. I'll see you next time. Take care.